It's not exactly bright and early. It's early, but not very particularly bright yet. It's about, I don't know, 6:40 or so on Saturday, the 30th of September, 2017, and we are here for the North Country Honor Flight at the Plattsburgh Recreation Building downstairs, and we're getting ready for the 21st Honor Flight. And among the dignitaries here today is a North Country boy that is familiar to many, Bishop Terry LaValle. So we'll try to get a moment to talk with him if we can as we get ready for the 21st flight of the North Country Honor Flight, as we send veterans from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam to their memorials in Washington, D.C.
Calvin Bishop.
Calvin Bishop.
You got a moment to talk on
sure.
camera?
Oh, God, yeah, right. Don't run away.
You're on your own now.
Yeah,
you do well on your own.
Oh, yeah, right. Tell my mother that.
Okay, Judy says the camera's rolling. I feel I should take my hat off when I'm talking to this gentleman. But it's a military type hat, so it's all right.
Right, looks good to me.
Bishop Terry LaValle, this is your first trip here to the Honor Flight?
It is my first time here. What an impressive occasion.
Well, I was talking with Barry Finnegan yesterday. I said, I see you. I looked through the North Country Catholic and I saw your schedule.
Right.
I said, I see you're going to have an illustrious guest there tomorrow. And he said, we've been trying. But I finally got a hold of his secretary. I said, you could have called his mother. And
That's right.
she would have arranged it for you. But you have a military career.
I do.
You got in the priesthood.
I do. I was in the Navy for 6 years, enlisted. I had attended Plattsburgh State for a couple years, and then I said, so I walked downtown to the Federal Office Building. The first guy I ran into was the Navy recruiter. He sucked me right in for 6 years. Back then I had to, I went outside after to the telephone booth. Remember them?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I went to the telephone booth to call home to tell my folks I just signed up for 6 years. Well, they were not terribly happy. But I did my time.
You did your time.
Wouldn't have changed it.
Is that the way you refer to it, your time?
I did my time. And now I'm doing my time.
Did you do a lot of it on the water, or were you on shore?
I spent 6 years at shore stations.
Oh, really?
The equipment that I worked on were all at shore stations. So, yeah, my check still said U.S. Navy, even though I didn't see sea time.
So then, how much after that did you decide you wanted to become a priest?
Well, when I was stationed in Pensacola, we'd play cards during lunch, but then the chapel was right across the street. So I started going to daily mass, and then I talked to the chaplain a little bit about it. Then when I was stationed in Scotland, I started teaching Sunday school. And then one thing led to another, and here I am.
So we won't say how many years later.
A couple. Yeah. A couple, yeah.
And you're, how many years now as the Bishop of Augsburg? 4 or 5?
About seven and a half,
yeah. Time flies.
Yeah.
Seems like just yesterday Bishop Laverty was coming to town.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
He's retired.
That's right.
Yes, I couldn't believe that. He's too young to retire.
I know, but I think he's enjoying it. He's enjoying it, yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to have an official function here today, Bishop?
I think beginning at 7, there's a little program planned.
You're going to be part of it?
I think I am, yeah.
Okay.
A very tiny part.
All right, I know a lot of people want to talk to you. We appreciate you taking time.
Thanks, Calvin. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right.
Hometown.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Honor Flight number 21. At the end of today, we'll have sent 314 veterans down to their memorials. First, to thank each and every person in this room and everybody that contributes in so many different ways. It's really a pleasure doing business with everybody and making these things work, so I appreciate everybody. first like to thank our sponsor for this flight. Johnny and Zeke's Military Pub is held down in Willsboro Golf Course. Very small, a very, very small group of volunteers that pull this thing off. They have raised over $16,000 for Honor Flight. One of our World War II veterans was apparently digging through his stuff this morning and brought in a couple of items that we thought was of interest. So just in case there's any doubt, the war in Europe is over. And the other party brought in listed every general in World War II. Other uniques. Thanks, Lauren Giguere, for bringing that in for us. We get a lot of questions on where Honor Flight is at, so we thought it'd be a great time to update everybody. We are still searching very hard for World War II veterans. We know they're out there. It's just a matter of finding them and convincing them to go. So if anybody can help us out on those lines, we'd appreciate it. Our Korean War veterans, same thing. We're searching them out. We're trying to find them, get them all on the day that they deserve. So please help us in that way. As of today, our Korean War veteran waiting list is almost down to nothing. We've got a couple that are going to go next spring, but all those applications came in after the month of June. So we're pretty much caught up, and there's nobody waiting like there was for a little while. We had a terrible backlog, and adding the 5th flight on this year helped us out a lot, so we've alleviated that backlog, and it's time to move forward. What that's going to bring us to is once we're through the Korean vets and they start sliding off a little bit, we want to make it loud and clear that we will be taking Vietnam vets as the honor flight. It's been decided by the Honor Flight Board and the Honor Flight volunteers in general that nobody deserves it more than the Vietnam veterans. The heroism, the valor, the gallantry is all the same as the other conflicts this nation has endured. Nobody ever received the welcome home that they got. Our military did not deserve that kind of welcome home, and we're going to do what we can to try and fix it. We can't change it, but we can help it. Outside is when one of our great volunteers, Mr. Greg Lee, who is the heart and soul of Honor Flight, came home from battle after losing an arm when a mortar landed in his pit and hid his arm because he didn't want people to know he was in the military. He was told when he came home, get off and make sure and go to the bathroom and change your uniform as soon as possible when you get to the airport so people don't know you're a veteran. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard, and we are going to do everything possible to make up for that. They've got their day coming. Watching Mountain Lake PBS, you'll catch a Vietnam War documentary. Very good, a lot of information. It's great to watch, and a lot of things that a lot of us probably don't know about. So it's a very good series, and if you get a chance to catch it, it would be worthwhile. And now the professional from Mountain Lake PBS, Mr. Tom Holland.
Thank you, Barry. That is a great mini-series that's on right now. If you haven't had a chance to see it, and it's been running over 2 weeks, I know for some folks that's a lot in 2 weeks. It will repeat on Tuesday nights from October right through the month of November. So there will be another chance very soon to see it if you missed it or missed any of the episodes. So, well, good morning, everyone. What a beautiful fall morning. We're going to kick things off with the West Court Street Kids singing our national anthem. And then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is now my... Oh, please be seated. Thank you. It's now my pleasure this morning to welcome the mayor of the city of Plattsburgh, Colin Reed, to be our first speaker. Colin is serving his first term as mayor. He is the former county legislator and also former dean of the School of Economics and Finance at SUNY Plattsburgh. Join me in welcoming Mayor Colin Reed.
Thank you all. Seems like the crowds that come and send these heroes off get bigger and bigger every time. A little bit nippier than the last time we did this just a month or so ago. But thank you all for coming, and certainly thank all of you heroes for coming. It really is an honor for us all to come and address you all and send you off on these gatherings. I really wish you a bon voyage, and thank you for being the guardian angels for this country for so long. Today I contemplate you who serve our country because we ask you to protect our flag and our freedoms that are sometimes at peril even today. You hope to return to a nation united, and you must be discouraged and disillusioned by the occasional divisions in this country. You know, when Abraham Lincoln faced that same challenge just before the Civil War in his inauguration address, he called you the better angels, the people that bring us all together, so thank you all for that. You've never asked for anything in return for this. I can't imagine a more modest and a less self-interested group than the individual that will be going off to Washington today. You certainly made huge sacrifices for this nation, and you continue to do so. We're very grateful, and just know that with all these people that come out to see you off, you're not our forgotten angels. And then finally, you're going off to remember people that have fallen before you. Please remember them on behalf of all of us, and make sure that they're never going to be our forgotten angels as well. So thank you all. Have a bon voyage, and I think you're going to have one of the best days of your lives.
Thank you, Mayor. It is now my pleasure to introduce former Assemblywoman Janet Dupree, who for a decade represented the North Country in the New York State Assembly and the 115th District. She retired at the end of last year after 41 years in public service with the Clinton County Legislature, 21 years as Clinton County Treasurer, and a decade as a member of the New York State Assembly. Please join me in welcoming Janet Dupree.
Good morning, and absolutely thanks again for everybody who showed up in tremendous turnout this morning, and to welcome and to celebrate our World War II and Korean veterans and heroes. You know, I've spoken at, I think, something like 19 of these, and this is my 19th one, and I thought about it the other day. I thought, you know, what do you keep saying that doesn't sound redundant? I happened to stop at the post office as a Korean War veteran was getting in his car. And he got back out of the car and walked over to me and told me he was on the September 2nd flight. And he took my hand and he said, "It was the most incredible day." And we both got pretty emotional, and he started talking to me about going to the Korean Monument, which was so special to him, and the World War II Monument. And then he took a deep breath and said, "You know, we even went to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier." And it brought back so many memories. And I had not known until then that on that flight they actually saw some South Korean folks who came over and thanked them for their service. And he said that a couple of the women spoke in very broken English, touching her heart and his heart, and said, "We love you." I'm not sure which one of us was crying the hardest by the time he and I left the post office, but I thought that's what this is about. It's about honoring each of you and giving you the opportunity to know that not only, I think we got the greatest group in the North Country in our North Country honor flight, But it's not just about our North Country Honor Flight and the folks who come here. It's about people everywhere who finally have the opportunity to contribute and say thank you. So, gentlemen, enjoy your day. Have a wonderful time. And indeed, will bring you back with some tremendous memories.
I'd now like to welcome Assemblyman Billy Jones. Billy is serving his first term in the New York State Legislature, representing the 115th Assembly District that covers Clinton and Franklin counties and 4 towns in St. Lawrence County. Prior to being an Assemblyman, Mr. Jones was a corrections officer for 20 years. He also served as mayor for the village of Chateauguay and as the chairman of the Franklin County Legislature. Please join me in welcoming Assemblyman Billy Jones.
Thank you, Tom. And I'll say it again, what an honor it is to be here among all of you and among our veterans. Like I said in the previous gatherings, there can never be enough thank yous, and we can never do enough for you and what you have done for us. I do have a little story. I'll keep it very short this morning. My little girl is here with us, my 4-year-old daughter, and well, I digress a little bit. In town today, there is this comic convention, Comic-Con they call it, and superheroes are going to be there. So last night, as she's getting on her Wonder Woman pajamas, you know, Wonder Woman's her hero, and I said, well, we're going to have to wake up a little early tomorrow morning to go see your superheroes, and she's all excited. Wonder if Wonder Woman will be there, and she's very, very excited about it. So this morning when we got up at 10 to 5 in the morning, which is pretty early for a 4-year-old on a Saturday morning, she's getting, you know, taking off her pajamas, and I said, well, we better get ready, you know, we gotta go see our superheroes. And so on our way out here, we get here, and I stopped in the office over there, and she said, is there gonna be real life heroes over there, Daddy? And I said, you betcha there is. You're going to see some real superheroes this morning. And these are the real superheroes that she's seeing this morning. It's because of you that she has the freedoms in this country. It's because of you that she can enjoy this country for all that it has to offer. She has freedom to do whatever she wants, and she can do whatever she wants in this country. So thank you on behalf of her, on behalf of me, and everyone out here. Thank you for your service. It can never be said enough what you have done for our country. God bless you. Godspeed. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman. It's now my pleasure to welcome Plattsburgh Town Supervisor Michael Cashman. Michael grew up in Massachusetts and attended SUNY Plattsburgh, where he received both his bachelor's and master's degree. He also served 2 terms as Student Association President. After graduation, he was hired by SUNY Plattsburgh as the Assistant Director of Campus Activity, while then beginning his career in public service, serving on the Town of Plattsburgh Zoning Board of Appeals, and then being elected first as a town councilor, and then becoming the town's youngest ever supervisor. Please join me in welcoming Michael Cashman.
Some time ago, during my first honor flight, I reflected on my grandfather, and I just happened to be thinking about him this morning as I was driving in. He is by far the single most influential person in my life, and a veteran of the Green War. And I was thinking about him as I was driving here, as grandpas do, or papas, teach you those life things and values, and one was always eat your vegetables, always clean your plate. Looking at my physique, you can tell that I do that well. Okay? He always give the important thanks. He also taught me the value of loving country and patriotism. But as I was driving over here, we have those models within our lives because the folks that we're sending are our fathers, our grandparents, their brothers and sisters, friends and neighbors. You are the pillars of our community. And while my grandfather never shared the stories of his experience like so many of you do, we are completely indebted to you. There are so many stories that we will never hear and we will never know. But you carry them like you carried us when you left these soils to protect us for generations to come. So from my generation to the greatest generation and everyone in between, God bless our current troops, God bless our veterans, and God bless America. Thank you.
Representative Elise Stefanik is the youngest woman ever elected to Congress in United States history. She is now in her second term representing New York's 21st Congressional District in the House of Representatives. New York 21 covers 12 counties across northern New York, making it one of the largest in the nation, which you know well. The Congresswoman is a member of the Armed Services Committee and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Please welcome Congresswoman Elise Stefanik.
It's my honor to be here today for what I think is my 10th honor flight. This is one of the most meaningful parts of my job, is to stand with other members of this community to send off our heroes, but also to greet them in Washington when I happen to be there. And Barry mentioned earlier, there are 314 heroes that have taken the North Country Honor Flight. Think about that. 314 individual heroic stories. 314 families that can tell these tremendous tales of what it was like to serve in World War II and the Korean War. And I want to tell just one honor flight veteran that I've gotten to know. Levi Oakes went on honor flight last year. Barry will remember that. I got to meet him on Memorial Day weekend a few years ago. He is the only surviving Mohawk code talker, and he lives up in the Akwesasne. And to meet him and then to make sure he got on this flight and to see him in Washington and see the joy on his face to be surrounded by fellow veterans and be surrounded by so many members of this community sending him off. This day is about gratitude. It's about thanking each and every one of these veterans for your service to our nation, for giving my generation role models to look up to. So you're going to have an amazing, amazing day going to both the Memorial and Arlington National Cemetery. Your friends who are going with you are going to have a tremendous experience. Thank you for what you do, and thank you to all of the members of this community for turning out early in the morning. This is the biggest group I've ever seen here, and we're going to keep growing this group. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And congratulations, by the way, on your marriage. I forgot that. I forgot to put that in the bio. It is now my pleasure to introduce Joan Hubbard, co-owner of Johnny's and Zeke's Restaurant in Willsboro, and Gail Bridge, Director of Human Resources of Champlain National Bank. For 7 years, they have teamed up with others in the community to hold an annual golf tournament to support military veterans. For 5 years, they supported a national veterans program, having raised more than $40,000. And 2 years ago, they decided to support local veterans and the North Country Honor Flight. And as Barry mentioned a little earlier, they have now raised in those 2 years more than $16,000 for Honor Flight. Please welcome Gail and Joan.
Good morning. I'm Joan Hubbard, and Tom just took half of my paragraph away from me. As Tom said, we started the Honor Flight 2 years ago. And the first year we raised $7,000, and I thought, well, it's nothing. First, I want to thank the 120 golfers of this year's tournament. And as I look around today, there's several teams already here. And I'm not going to point them out because you want to know their score. I want to give a big thank you to all the handful of friends and family members that are generous in our community, that have helped behind the scenes, put up the tents, the flags. go run and get soda, all those things. Because of them and the donations that the people that have donated and do not want to go, our efforts have raised $16,000, which pays for this actual flight. In my mind, when I started the golf tournament, I thought it's just a drop in a big bucket. I believed that my efforts would never be seen, but here they are. My mother taught me it is an honor to serve those who serve you, and also to take care of those who care for you. Nevertheless, here we are today, supporting and honoring the people that have given us our freedoms and our nation. We admire you and respect you. We appreciate all your sacrifices and your protections of our freedoms. And today, Gail and I have dedicated this fight to a very special person in Gail's life. So I'm going to let her start talking.
Our donation is being given in memory of my father, Edward Elbridge. He served in the United States Navy Seabees during World War II and was stationed in Guadalcanal. And he would have been so honored to be part of one of these honor flights. But he passed away in June of 1973. It wasn't until my mother passed away 2 years ago that I ever realized what he went through while serving in Guadalcanal. I looked through his pictures and read his journal about the war, and then I knew why this was never shared with his children. While he isn't here in person, I would like to share what he wrote on the very last page of his journal, so you will know he is here in spirit. Because it is the very last page of his journal, I have to imagine that the war had ended and he was coming home. Please bear with me. Guadalcanal, somewhere in the Pacific where the heat is like a curse. Each day is followed by another that is slightly worse. Where the coral dust blows thicker than the desert sand. Where the white man fusses and curses and dreams of fairer land. Somewhere in the Pacific where the mail is always late. A Christmas card in April is considered up to date. Where we never have a payday, we never have a cent. We never miss the money because we never get it spent. Somewhere in the Pacific where the flying fishes play, where 100 more mosquitoes replace each one you slay. Take me back to good old Willsboro across the ocean's spell, for this God-forsaken island is a substitute for hell. And with
It is now my pleasure to welcome Jordana Malik. Welcome back, Jordana. Jordana was with us for our last honor flight, and she is with us again this morning. Jordana is the Special Programs Coordinator for the New York Division of Veterans Affairs. Please welcome Jordana Malik.
Good morning. So I bring official greetings, but before that, I just wanted to take a moment to share two thoughts. The first is that when I leave here today, my daughter and I will be attending services in recognition that today is the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur. And I understand intellectually that our ability to go to synagogue without fear of any type of attack against us or our community is guaranteed to us by the Constitution of the United States. But I also understand, and more in a sense I know intuitively and I understand in my heart, that real security that I have is obtained by the men and women in service, both now and before us. They are the ones that ensure that my daughter and I are able to worship without fear, and that other individuals across the country today
will be at services without worry and without concern. So I served in Afghanistan in 2010, and my generation of veterans, we were welcome home in a pretty amazing way. There was flags and there were ceremonies, and there was GI Bill benefits and property tax exemptions and VA health care. There was, everything that you can imagine, I feel like someone had thought about. Child care for my daughter, there was a way for me to get reimbursement for that. Her ice skating lessons, there was a program that would pay for that. But I am well aware that that is not the way it has always been. And I know that my life and the quality of the life that I have was earned on the backs of the generation of veterans before me. And for that, I will always be grateful. So my thank you todays are not just from me, but from every veteran who now returns home, to the welcome ceremonies and to the benefits packages and to everything that's in place to make our lives a little bit easier. So on behalf of the Governor of the State of New York, it is my distinct pleasure to bring you wishes for a safe travel and a meaningful visit to our nation's capital on your honor flight today. By making this journey, you are joining thousands of other veterans as part of amazing efforts on the part of our nation to say thank you for your service and to give you the chance to see the memorials that were built in recognition of your service to our nation. North Country Honor Flight is one of 10 regional hubs in the state of New York that are part of this worthy mission. In the month of September alone, honor flights across the country will send more than 65 flights to Washington, D.C. with veterans from over 20 different parts of the United States. So on behalf of the nation, let me be one of many today that will say thank you and enjoy your day.
Thank you, Jordan. It is now an honor to introduce His Excellency Terry LaValle, Bishop of Ogdensburg. Bishop LaValle is a native of Moores Forks and raised in St. Anne's Parish. He attended Moore Central and Northeastern Clinton Central Schools, the University of the State of New York, and Wadhams Hall Seminary College. Bishop LaValle also served a 6-year tour of duty with the United States Navy. Upon his return in ordination, he served in Messina and Hubleton, studied canon law at St. Paul's University in Ottawa, and was ordained and installed as the 14th Bishop of Ogdensburg in April 2010, where he is the spiritual leader of 150,000 Catholics in New York's North Country. Please join me in welcoming His Most Reverend Excellency Terry LaValle, Bishop of Ogdensburg.
Good morning, everybody. What an honor it is for me to be here with you on this occasion. You know, whenever I go jogging, I don't do enough of it, around the streets of Ogdensburg, I check out 2 landmarks in the city. The flag flying outside the fire department and the flag waving outside the city police department. They give me an idea of the wind speed and direction to see how much energy I'm going to need to muster up running against the wind, especially in the winter. One day I was out pounding the pavement and I began to notice how often those flags were flying at half-mast rather than hoisted to the top of the pole where they belonged. I began to think of how much the weight of the whole world has tugged that tri-colored fabric from the full height of its soaring place to that halfway mark to the ground. For just a moment, I would like to reflect on those 2 positions on the flagpole. The flag at half-mast means something's happened. Someone who has helped to keep the flag soaring in the skies has fallen. A leader, a firefighter, a rescuer, a soldier, a sailor, Marine, member of the Air Force, policeman or woman, heroes all. Each gave the ultimate to keep the stars and stripes in their rightful perch atop the pole. The wrenching loss tugs at the heart and pulls that banner's precious weight downward. Yet, as the burden and weight seem so overwhelming, we know that the pull earthward is ever so fleeting. The flag never, never remains in that state of limbo, wavering just a few feet above the ground. No. Inevitably, it returns to its rightful loft. The wounded eagle eventually rises. Goodness wins. Goodness always wins. The dedicated hearts and souls of a godly nation once again pull the patriotic clock to the heavens, soaring in the skies, never, never to be pinned down. The American flag never touches the ground. Yes, ours is a nation called to be forever godly, heaven-bent. True heroes from our North Country who served our nation so bravely in years past will soon soar the skies in another honor flight to our nation's capital. It is with profound gratitude and prayers for an enjoyable journey that we send them off. Generations ago, these patriots helped to bear the weight of the world pressing on our nation's shoulders. It is right that we honor these individuals whose service has helped keep the flag soaring to the heavens. Occasions such as this caused me to reflect on my 6 years as an enlisted man in the Navy. For a few years, one of my duties was to be the command briefer at NTTC Quarry Station in Pensacola. VIPs would come on base and I would present them with an overview of our operations. One day, Admiral Bobby Inman came on board. I began my presentation and no sooner had I begun that he interrupted me and stopped. He asked me to never mind what was on my notes. He said, "I want to hear more about you as a person." I could feel my ears start to turn red. He wasn't following the script. So I began by introducing myself as Second Class Petty Officer Terry LaValle. Again, he quickly interrupted me, saying he had no second-class petty officers in his Navy. And he had a smirk on his face. And he asked me to continue. Well, at the same time, I know, I was an E5 second-class petty officer. The Admiral was playing games with my head. Sometimes that's not very difficult to do. But then, as I was headed back to the shop to work, it hit me. He was right. Technically, I was a petty officer second class, not a second-class petty officer. I'm reminded of this because there is no such thing as a second-class person. There's no such thing as a second-class veteran. Those who served our country in the military, whether they saw duty in the front lines of war or worked in support positions at a distance from immediate harm's way, are all first-class citizens and first-class heroes. Our families are so very proud and grateful. Gentlemen, although you went off to serve our nation and returned quietly, the impact of your service was truly heroic. Today, we express thanks and honor the veterans of the North Country.
of our beloved North Country, particularly those who have served during the World War II, Korean War, Vietnam vets, who left home in desperately troubled times in service to us all. We are most appreciative to those who support North Country Honor Flight as we express the thanks of a grateful nation. And as we say thank you to these heroes, we never forget the loved ones they left behind. Loved ones with broken hearts, wives or husbands left to care for children, concerned about finances, concerned about what am I going to do, raise a family as a single parent for a time. They too need our prayers and our gratitude. Men, your sacrifices will never, never be forgotten. God bless each and every one of you. God bless America.
Thank you, Bishop Lamelli. I would now like to introduce Flight Leader Cynthia Nadeau for the introduction of our veterans as they receive their travel orders. Cynthia? Sure, I apologize. As this list gets longer, you knew this would happen eventually. It is now my honor to introduce Essex County Sheriff Richard Gutting.
Nothing ever goes by the script. You have to know that by now. I usually stand up here and talk a little bit about the common ties of people in the room. But today, apparently we were all on the same wavelength because what I'm talking about today are thanks. I want to say thank you to the bikers for your escorts here. Depending on which direction you came from, there was weather. There's some rather nasty weather to the south. Thank you to the police escorts who come out and pick up our veterans. Thank you to the families who get up early to be here today to support our veterans, as well as keeping the home fires burning while they were gone. Not knowing day to day what was going to happen, but keeping that home safe and sound when they returned. Thank you to all of you who send in checks, drop coins in the coin containers, do golf tournaments, do whatever it is that allows us to do what we do with Honor Flight. And thank you to all the Honor Flight volunteers who do everything they do without pay, volunteer days, nights, weekends to make sure that these things happen and we honor these guys. Thank you also to the veterans in the audience. If you look around the room, you'll see veterans. You'll see them in the back of the room. And that's a common trait with a veteran. How many people now do you see wearing the military hats that you never knew were a veteran? It's a common trait. They served, they quietly came home, and they went about their business. That devotion is what led these veterans to leave home to defend our precious liberty. And through God's blessing, we're able to return home and become a visible symbol to us of the price patriots are willing to pay for all we have here in America today. Thank you for all the referrals that you have made to us. Keep up the good work. Keep the referrals coming. Let us keep filling these seats with veterans. Thank you for bringing us Brandon Brandt, Bernard Abel, Paul Jock, and John West in time for us to honor them on Honor Flight, since they have all passed away since our last flight. Now let me tell you about a little bit of a special veteran here. I'm going to tell you about Korean veteran Paul Dumas. He had a nickname of Bulldog. I understand the nickname was fitting, as he was rather well known at City Hall. The reason he frequented City Hall was his deep respect for veterans and the need to honor them and for the public to see and know the sacrifices that were made on their behalf. His urging and intensity was the driving force behind the creation of the Veterans Park that stands on the south end of the oval where you parked out here. Paul showed up for every honor flight ceremony. He was the first one you saw when you pulled on the circle. He directed you to your parking place. He stood, he saluted, he was proud to be there. He was so invested in getting veterans to Washington that he always deferred his seat to others. A Korean vet that said, no, make sure these guys go first. We finally convinced Paul to stand in as a standby. We always worry that one of our veterans, for whatever reason, may not be able to make the flight on flight day. Paul agreed to be that last minute, right up through till the plane was ready to taxi, that he would step in and take that seat. We decided that in return for that, we were going to put him on that last flight. Like it or not, he was going to go for his service. Unfortunately, we lost Paul Bulldog Dumas before he could actually leave. Don't let that happen to another. God bless you all, and Godspeed on your journey today. Post 20 of the American Legion will now render military honors. Please rise, remove your headgear, place your hand over your heart, where military members and veterans may render the hand salute. Post 20. Order, Army.
Thank you, Sheriff. And may I say that every honor flight I ever came to, Paul Dumas was always the first smiling face I would come to. He would always say, have a nice day, young fella. We'll miss him. Cynthia Nadeau, we are ready for the flight orders.
First, I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up. These 16 men and the Guardians deserve a beautiful send-off, and you guys successfully did that. Peter Beck, U.S. Army, Korea.
I started on nervous until April of 1955. His unit was the 12th Infantry Unit Regiment, the 17th 45th Company. His job title was Squad Leader, Machine Gun Section. He was stationed at Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, and many, many locations in Germany. He was on the General Patch ship. It held 6,000 or more people. It wasn't a very fast-moving ship. It took 11 days to get to Birmingham, Germany, and it was not a very pleasant trip. When they got to their base location, there wasn't too much to do. They had to do security checks around the perimeter and base camp, but they never found anyone or anything else to do. So he and his buddy got bored, started drinking in the cemetery. He was tired, so he sat down to take a break. Next thing he knew, he woke up at 4:45. Reveille was 5. He ran all the way back and made it just in time for Reveille, and nobody missed him, thank goodness, he said. He separated from Camp Kilmer, New Jersey. Peter back. Ernest Brown, U.S. Air Force. Vietnam, Cold War. Artist served from May 1955 to October 1982. His unit was Communications Squadron. His job title was Communications Superintendent. He was stationed at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. He didn't want to go in the Army, so he and his black buddies decided to join the Air Force, only to be sent to the local Army base for training. At this point, the military hadn't been very integrated very long. Needless to say, they weren't treated very well, especially being Air Force at the Army. He served at Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio, Texas, Cheyenne, Wyoming for training, Scott Air Force Base, Tripoli, Libya. At 19 years old, and Barry forgot to tell the story, so I will. At 19 years old, he was very excited. He was told he was going to go to Libya to serve there for 6 months. And don't worry, boys, there's a girl behind every tree. As a 19-year-old and all of his buddies couldn't wait to hit land. Well, of course, when he got there was no women, there wasn't even any trees. He served in many other bases across America and Germany, Cheyenne, South Carolina, Ryan Air Force Base, Frankfurt. Then he finally got to Plattsburgh, where he decided to stay and retire after 27 years. Also, while he was here, he successfully integrated the barracks, men and women, and it was very successful. After retirement, he spent another 30 years working for the Air Force. Joseph Truffle Fulbear Jr., U.S. Army and National Guard. Joseph was in Korea. He served from 1951 to 1973. He was in the 187th Field Artillery Squadron. He was stationed at USAAMS, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Fort George, Georgia, Fort Meade, Maryland, Fort Benning, Georgia, and then in Messina in the National Guard. He led the battalion in the floods of Elmira. He met a guy who was stealing a casket in the back of his station wagon. He asked him to walk forward. The guy just ran off and left him. He met Governor Rockefeller when he came to dedicate the Prescott Bridge, Prescott, Ontario. When the governor saluted him, he didn't know what to do. His commanding officer nodded his head and said, "Okay, salute back." So he did. For the past 40 years, he has led the Malone Memorial Day Parade in a Civil War uniform, and he's always there when needed for a burial or a ceremony. Trev Fulbear. Paul Joseph Fisher, U.S. Army. Paul served in Vietnam. He also served from 1973 to 1975 during that, and again from 1977 to 1992. He served in Vietnam, Honduras, Panama, Kuwait. He was a combat engineer. He was the engineer in charge of setting up water lines and showers. So you know he was well liked and had many favors given to him. He also hooked up electricity for the camp chow hall tents. One time he was hooking up a large line for the mess hall, and something went wrong, and he found himself clear across the camp because it blew him that far. He was also on the explosive demolition team. Once he flew around, he figured, why not do the rest? Paul was also a POW. He was captured in Vietnam, and it was a rough time for him. They tied him to a tree. On the other end was a grenade, and if he moved, it would go off. You wonder why these guys come back like they do. Paul Fisher. Charles Andrew Gallagher, U.S. Army.
I hope you have a good trip today. Enjoy it. Thanks. Appreciate it very much.
Charles was in Vietnam. He served from August 1972 to September 1992. He was in Vietnam, Grenada, El Salvador, Panama, and Latin America. He was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. But then again, he states, my wife was stationed there. I saw it for like 10 days out of the 10 years I was there. I was always overseas or gone somewhere. He was in the 18th A Special Forces Green Beret and on a nuclear emergency team. Being a Green Beret, I couldn't get a lot out of him because it was all top secret, and he couldn't even tell me now. Most of his missions were classified, even to this day. Charles Gallagher. Everett Eugene Gondier, U.S. Navy. U.S. Air Force. He served in both the Navy and the Air Force.
Okay, that's you. Good.
Supposed to be Army, Joe. He also served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He was a very busy, active Navy guy. He served from 1943 to 1949 in the Navy. In World War II, he was a bosun mate, somebody who told somebody what to do, and he liked that job. He was a 20 mm gunnery. He was on Omaha Beach for 11 days. He saw 33 air raids. He stated that the ocean wrecked more ships than the Germans did. In the Navy, he was stationed on the USS Wilkes-Barre GL-103, U.S. Naval Station Gitmo Bay, Cuba, Naval Supply Depot, RSMB Norva. He was 80 miles from Manila when they went to China, Manila, and Australia and Japan. While in the Air Force, he served from 1951 to 1965. He was stationed at Otis Air Force Base, Massachusetts. The duty assignment there was the 551 Air Base Squadron. While in Korea, he was building craft supervisor, carpenter, electrician, plumber, whatever they needed him to do, they told you were qualified. In Vietnam, the only thing he had to say was it was the worst he's ever been through. Everett Gondier. Arthur C. Hatfield, U.S. Army. Arthur served in Korea. He served from October 1953 to September 1955. He was in the 33rd Regiment Hanwha Canal Infantry Regiment. He was trained in guard duty and jungle warfare. He was stationed at Fort Kobe, New Jersey, in the Panama Canal Zone. Some of these guys needed jobs because this one was getting bored also. He was just hanging all around, so he said, I decided to go for a walk and see what the woods looked like. So we went out there for a couple hours. For 3 days they walked around and just saw nothing. So he went back and fell asleep by the tree. When he got back to base, he noticed that he lost his ammo belt. But he couldn't tell anybody how or where he lost it because it wasn't supposed to be out there. We needed to get these guys something to do. Arthur is flying with us today in honor of his twin brother Sam. They enlisted at the same time. Remember the buddy system? For once the government was true to their word. They did enter together, they stayed together, and they got out together. But his brother Sam passed away. And they also served in the same exact locations at the same time. So what a wonderful experience that was for you. Arthur Hatfield. Thomas Hearn, U.S. Marine Corps. Tom served in Korea. He served from October 1949 to January 1953. His unit was Supply Squadron. His job title was Supply Depot Manager. He was stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Cherry Point, Norfolk, Virginia, and Puerto Rico. He was sent to Puerto Rico twice to learn maneuvers training and set up supply depots. While at Cherry Point, he helped load cargo ships going to Puerto Rico. He had to do amphibious landings to get off the ship. Climbing down that net was not as easy as it looks. When he got to the bottom, he had to hold it steady for the next guy. He watched one guy fall down and drown because they couldn't get to him in time. Another guy using a mini cherry picker misjudged the boom in the machine and the rope and was knocked off and peered and tipped over on him. He made it, but he said that was the worst part, was climbing that rope. Thomas Hearn. Charles J. Jacobs, U.S. Army. Charles served in Korea. He served from January 1953 to December 1954. His job title was infantry, but when they got into Korea, they put him in the Navy amphibious outfit. He was told he would be on part of that Navy transport crew, told to get on the ship as soon as he landed. He was put on the landing craft. They brought coal to the Korean people, which he thought was going to be a bore, but after he got done doing it, like 25 loads later, he really had fun because he got to have spare time. He met the local people, and he did a few extra things while he was there. So it wasn't that bad after all, staying with the Navy. Charles Jacob. Louis D. Jacobs, Jr., U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Army. He was going to do the Marines, but they said they didn't want him. He was in Korea. He served from July 1950 to June 1953, and of course they're separated because he went to all the different places. March 1954 to July 1964, October 64 to September 77. Then he went on to the Army Reserves. He didn't get enough of it, I guess. September 1977 to August 1992. He was in the Company B. His job title was Airframe Specialist. He replaced skin on the aircraft. He was stationed at various bases all over the world. He said too many to mention. His job title was communications technician, so you can get along with Mr. Brown real well. He climbed poles in Japan to set up communication lines, and those poles you had to be sturdy because you had to learn to sit on top of them. His U.S. Army Reserves, he served 77 to 87. He was stationed with the 479th Infantry Squad in Messina. He stated it loudly, "In the 23 years of service, I never shot one round of ammo." Stuart Jacobs. Benjamin Joseph Kelly, U.S. Army. Ben served in Korea. He served from October 1950 to October 1952. His unit was the 4th and the 12th Infantry Regiment, K Company. His area of command was the 1st Army. He was stationed in Europe, many places, again he said too many to mention, for 17 months. His job title was Chief Clerk Administration. He said it was no fun being stationed with the rebels, the Southerners. He said they didn't like us too well. He said the squadron leader met all the new recruits. When he met Ben, called him a Yankee and wouldn't even talk to him. It made it rough at work because he couldn't get any communication lines open. Ben Kelly. Jerry Nathan Marshall, U.S. Army. Jerry was in Korea. He served from 1942 to 1952. His unit, C Company, Combat Engineers, 24th Division. His job title was Infantryman. He was stationed at Korea. All areas as needed, mostly in the fields. Hosan, they were sent there to help get the Marines out before the Chinese got there. He was near the Limeys, the English-speaking Koreans. They were issued the new 3.5 bazookas, but they were handed one and never trained on it. They were the first troops into Korea. There were 8 to 10 trucks of them, jeeps, those big cargo trucks, 48 men total plus the general. Most of them wanted to sleep in the truck because they were tired and didn't want to sleep on the ground, not knowing what was crawling around. Jerry and 8 other guys said, "No, I'll sleep on the hill in the grass." And in the middle of the night, all hell broke loose. Several tanks were shooting at the trucks, and a guy came over to him wearing a t-shirt and sock feet and said, "Soldier, can you fire that?" Jerry said, "No." The guy unlocked the safety pin, handed it back to Jerry and said, "Fire." So he did. It just bounced off the tank. The guy said there must be 2 locks on it. So he undid the second bullet, whatever you want to call it. And he fired that one and he blew up those 3 tanks. Jerry later learned that guy was General Bean. He trained him how to use the 3.5 right in the field, and he was appreciative of that. Out of those 48 men, 7 were left, including the general. Jerry Marshall. John Callahan McDonald, U.S. Marine Corps. John served in Korea. He served from August 51 to August 1954. He served in the 3rd Marine Division, the 9th Marine Division. His job title was Line Officer, Marine Corps Regular, Weapons Company, Rifle Company. He was stationed at Camp Pendleton, California, Parris Island, South Carolina, Quantico, Virginia, Osaka, Japan, Gufu, Japan, and then Camp Shenfu. Those are all in Japan, I guess. When I asked about his history, he whispered, and I wondered, why is he whispering? I need the information. He goes, are they still looking for me? And I laughed and I said, who's looking for you? He said, our agents, I've been AWOL for 60 years. And then he said, I'm good, honey, put down what you got. John McDonald. John L. Quackenbush, U.S. Army. John served in Korea. He served from July 1954 to June 1956. His unit was Company A-22-7, 384th Regiment. His job title was Field Wire Lineman Technician, Chaplain's Assistant for 7 months, a supply clerk, and also a typist. He was stationed at Fort Dix, New Jersey, Dog Battery No. 6, Sandy Hook, New Jersey, Montauk Point, France, Fort Taunton, Long Island, New York. He trained in Pole City. He learned to climb the poles and sit on top so you could work on them without falling off. At Fort Taunton, he was sent to protect the eastern seaboard from Nike missiles that were there, and the Nix missiles that were there. As Assistant Supply Sergeant, he had to do war duty room, which meant he had to write backwards on a glass window so all the big shots on the other side could read what he was trying to tell them. He used one of the first typewriters. It only weighed 42.5 pounds. John Quackenbush. James P. Rice, Jr., U.S. Navy. James served in World War II. He served from July 1943 to June 1947. His unit was Battalion Number 49. His job title was fighter pilot, so don't get near him. He's got a good shot, he says. He was stationed at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Holy Cross College for V-5 pilot training, Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Illinois. He prepared for Navy Pacific duty and ready for the attack on Japan. In August, they dropped the bomb, so he never really got to go. He told me back then the uniform was regular drab, navy drab. It had 13 buttons that you had to unbutton in the front, if you know what I'm talking about, he said. You had to go before you had to go, because it took you that long to get out of them. He said years later they finally updated the uniform and that was a big plus. James Wright. George T. Sheeler, U.S. Navy. My mind got lost here. U.S. Navy. George is in World War II, Guam, Hiroshima campaign, the Philippines, Guadalcanal. He served in a lot of different war areas. He served from 1943 to May 1946. He had a full war career. His unit was the U.S. Mobile Hospital No. 8. His job title was pharmacist, third class. He served on the USS Sampson, New York, USS Horace Greeley, the USS Wrigley, the USN Mobile Hospital, and at last the USS President Jackson APA-18. He evacuated the casualties from Pearl Harbor, landed Army, Navy, and Marine divisions to many war fronts. He was getting the wounded off from Guam, Saipan, Hiroshima, and the Philippines. He was offshore when they raised the flag over Mount Suribachi. 3 of his siblings were in World War II, and 7 of his siblings were in the military. He stated, I hadn't known what war was till I saw our boys coming back shot and shell-shocked. George Sheeler.
Machinist mate, 3rd class, Paul Dumas. Korean War, U.S. Navy. Godspeed, Paul.
Thank you to all your great stories, and I hope we all have a wonderful day. Thank you for the families for letting me share this day with you all. Thank you so much.
And please welcome back now Bishop LaValle for our closing prayer.
When I was in, the uniform was drab, but at least we had a zipper. 60 years AWOL, we best pray. Sometimes, Lord, we take so much for granted. Life, wonders of nature, our family, our freedom. We give you thanks, O God, for those about to soar the skies this day. May the journey to our nation's capital be a safe one for these heroes. We pray that you be with them always. May they never forget how much they are appreciated, how much our nation salutes them. Be with them and their loved ones now and always. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen.
We want to thank you for attending this morning. You are, of course, welcome to join the motorcade over to the airport and also to stay and view the aircraft boarding and takeoff from the designated spot in the parking lot. Of course, as you know, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of volunteer firefighters and first responders from around the North Country that line New York Avenue, and that is quite something to see and be part of. So please join the motorcade over, the huge flags suspended by the ladder trucks, and join us as we head over to the airport to send off our heroes. Please join me now as Executive Secretary Pauline Stone introduces our veterans for our Walk of Honor for the Honor Flight.
She looks a little bit older than one.
Minutes left.
Please join us on the left-hand side to bid farewell to our heroes. Peter Bagg, United States Army. Line Arthur Brown, United States Air Force. Joseph Colbert, United States Army. Paul Fisher, United States Army. Charles Gallagher, United States Army. United States Navy, United States Army. Arthur Hatfield, United States Army. Thomas Hearn, United States Marine Corps. Charles Jacobs, United States Army. Louis Jacobs, United States Navy, United States Army, United States Air Force. Benjamin Kelly, United States Army. Jerry Marshall, United States Army. John McDonald, United States Marine Corps. John Frankenbush, United States Army. James Rice, United States Navy. George Sheelar, United States Navy.
And a reminder tonight, folks, please come back and join us at the Oval at 10 o'clock. Welcome veterans returning from their nations right here on the Oval Veterans Park. Thank you for coming today.
It's our tradition to catch them as they leave the Oval. And here they go. The escort. And it'll be followed by the honor flight bus with more vehicles. Quite a few vehicles have already zipped by us and are heading up and getting to the airport so they can be there when the honor flight veterans arrive. It is our hope to be there too in time, but sometimes we have a little struggle getting out of here after the escorts and the honor flight folks go by. but they're always followed by a large group of people that have been in attendance. And as you saw, there's a lot of people in attendance today, as there always is. And now we'll try to get out of here and head for the airport. And this is what they see when they arrive at the airport. Of Jim King among the honorees. Okay, we've arrived, and as always, the Knights of Columbus are here. The 4th degree and the veterans from American Legion Post 912 and Rouse's Point are among the many greeters here at the Clinton County Airport, International Airport, Plattsburgh International Airport. And the veterans arrive in this bus, a gift from Alsable Valley Central School District. All the previous honor flight folks have names written in those yellow bombs on the side of the bus. And it says, transporting our hometown heroes. The flight directors today are Mr. Greg Lee, who we heard about his Vietnam experience from Barry Finnegan, and Cynthia Nadeau. They're the flight leaders today. Cynthia is the flight leader, and Greg is the able assistant. Yes. Yeah, I know. I'm going to move to Plattsburgh and run for supervisor. So So it'll all work out.
That'll work.
Be forewarned. Standing right over there. Okay, looks like the first veterans are getting off. They got their snacks there. Their in-flight snacks. We were very pleased yesterday to be in Franklin County when they had the send-off in Malone at Legion Post 219 and then in Hogansburg at 1479. They have, I believe, 8 veterans from Franklin County included in his group going today. And it looks like our first veteran is getting off.
And hook! Freeze and arm!
And I can't let this day go without mentioning Gordy Little, who was at as many of these send-offs as he could possibly make. So he wasn't out of town, he was here. And his name is inscribed in one of the corners on the bus. Our little corner, it's called Gordy Little. And there's more of this that awaits these veterans all day long as they make their trip to Washington, D.C. to see the monuments. The veterans and their escorts. This fellow here is not a veteran, I assure you. But this guy is. And as is our tradition, we will follow them in to let you, the viewers, see what they see as they make their way through here. And they come inside the Plattsburgh International Airport for their trip to Washington. This fellow here wouldn't talk to me here, so I guess you're elected, Frank.
You're elected.
Frank McGrath.
Just talk to the cast.
Now, I've noticed George King here has the same thing you have, a green badge underneath there. What does that mean?
Well, it's kind of, we have some access to the airport activities that they have. I guess I got to say we're kind of trusted in going anywhere, not anywhere, but going to certain spots that we need it for taking for honor flight. What's really nice about it is the ID gets us in some areas of access and in support of the honor flight.
So what are you guys, how early do you get here? Are you able to go up to where we just came from, or you got to spend your time here getting things prepared?
We can spend a little time here. I'm usually here at 6 o'clock because we have 16 wheelchairs are coming. I meet with the staff here, security and the TSA, and we just get things on a roll there, so it won't be a kind of a cluster when everything comes at once. And then our logistics director, George there, he'll come right there, and the only thing he does is kind of fine tune. Is this done? Is that done? Or whatever. So, and I don't mind coming early. It's really good.
So you miss all the fun at the...
Well, I miss all the fun there, but we have a lot of fun here. You know, especially when we come back at night and we see all the veterans coming off the plane, and we get to see the excitement there too.
So it's a nice way to start and end the day, isn't it?
It's perfect. I would do this every time. I love it. It's all about the veterans, nothing about anything else. So,
have you been able to go as an escort or as a flight leader?
I was a flight leader twice, you know, and that was back in 2015, and it was lovely. It was great. It was a great trip. I went as an assistant flight leader first, got trained, then I went as a flight leader, and I wouldn't miss it at World Air. I did
great experience.
And it's great training there. So just going down there, the biggest thing I find out when you're down there, you got to make sure that you follow the safety and the security. You don't want anybody to get out of your way there. You don't want to be looking for anybody.
Right.
So it's really nice that I always make sure they give me all their cell phones, and I can always ring their cell phone. Where are you? Where's this? So that means a lot too. So.
Well, I'm talking to Barry and others in the past. Some of the areas have huge flights. With the numbers we have up here, it's a little handier to keep track of everybody. I can imagine if you've got hundreds of veterans going on a flight, it must really be a tough thing.
We're down there. We're small, 30 people, and plus we have the pilot, and you know we have roughly about 33 people we deal with, and keeping track of all that. And of course, what's really nice about it is that the pilot and the steward come with us. So they and we can't get on the plane until they come. So they come right with us, they enjoy the company, and it gives them an opportunity to see what Honor Flight's all about.
Now, is it different pilots or?
Different pilot, different steward there, so it gave them opportunity. I know it's not always the same pilot, there's always a different one, and they're really happy, and
it's a great experience
we get great experience for them too. So.
You even got your own private bus driver down there too. We saw her a couple of flights ago.
Yep, that was Gina Ricketts there. She's what a bus driver. She's probably the best bus driver I ever rode with. She only goes about 85, 90 when but she's good. She's good. You know, and of course they have the escort down there, which is just unbelievable. You know, I was Ted Green, who's one of the guys there. When I talked to him, he was one of the motorcycle operators, and he told me the story that he was involved when the Pope came to New York City. He was one of the people that was watching the Pope, and that's an honor. Seeing somebody who says that feels good.
Yeah. All right. So, thank you, Frank.
I really appreciate it.
Keep it up. Thank you. And that will wrap up our look at the September 30th, 2017 North Country Honor Flight. Flight number 21. Now a total of 314, or 214, 214 local veterans have gone to Washington, D.C. thanks to this dedicated group of individuals. They have a Facebook page, they have a website. If you're interested in learning more about them and the Honor Flight, please feel free to do that. So thanks for watching, and for those of you who understand, this is viewer-supported local television, hometown cable. TV we think is worthy of your support. Thank you for watching.